Hi, hello friends and strangers. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my February reads. I know it's a bit late, but here we are. So I've read a total of 7 books for February. A lot of them are contemporary and some of them for a readathon or a buddy read within our book club. For my first book for February, it's the second volume of our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide by Mone Sarai. I know I have preached about the first volume for months now, like since I read it last year, 2021, and I read the second volume as soon as it was out. Our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide is a romance LGBTQIA plus graphic novel, and in case you don't know yet, it's about this super serious Asahi and a laid-back, easygoing Mitsuki that might seem like an odd couple, but they made a deal that they'll vacation around the world and that when they get back to Japan, they are going to get married. So the graphic novel follows them as they travel from country to country, the different people that they meet, the cultures and the cuisine that they encounter, and these things begin to bring them closer together. After all, they're not just learning about the world, but they're also learning about themselves too. So I gave this graphic novel instant 5 stars. I love this volume so much because it shows both Asahi and Mitsuki's weaker sides and their flaws, and how despite all of that, at the end of the day, they still choose to be with each other and wouldn't have it any other way. I cannot stress enough how amazing the art of this graphic novel is. The attention to detail is amazing. While I cannot comment on the authenticity or legitimacy of the culture presented in the graphic novel because I haven't been into these countries and I haven't done enough research to know about the details that were presented in the graphic novel, I believe that the author did an amazing job representing the cultures and the countries they visited in a good light. So definitely recommend. Please pick up both volumes of our Not So Lonely Planet Travel Guide. I was able to borrow this from Scribd, so if you have a Scribd subscription, you can check this out via that app. And if you don't have yet and you are interested, you can click on my referral link below. This is a win-win situation for both of us. I get 30 days of Scribd subscription and you get 60 days free trial. Moving to my second book for February, it's Jade City by Fonda, and again, another 5 stars for February. I love this book. If you don't know yet what Jade City is about, Jade is everything in the island of Kekon. It's mind wielded and often killed for. Greenbone warriors wear jade to enhance their abilities and use it to defeat the Shatarians during an invasion. So since the war ended and a new generation of Greenbone warriors are taking over, the hunger for control over Kekon's capital city, which is Jandoon, shakes up both the Nopi clan and the Mountain clan, and a new war may be brewing. Everything about this book is 5 stars for me. The writing, the plot, the characters, whether I recommend it or not, I highly recommend this. If you are looking for an amazing Asian-inspired and action-packed urban fantasy novel, then do not hesitate to pick up Jade City. I saw that Jade City was named as one of Time's top 100 fantasy books of all time and World Fantasy Award for Best Novel, And honestly, it truly deserves this awards and recognitions and even more. In terms of the writing, again, it's fantastic. The world building was extremely interesting and very easy to understand. I found myself immersed in the magic system and how Jade enhances one's abilities, giving these warriors god tier martial arts mastery. Another interesting part for me was the whole clan system, wherein there's a pillar, there's a horn, there's a weatherman, fists, and fingers within a clan. So the whole clan dynamics, I think, is the best part for me so far, because it sets up the tone of the whole book, wherein your family is your clan and vice versa. Honor, power, loyalty are everything, and these were at the heart of the whole story in Jade City. So when you read the book, you'll just know that Fonda Lee passionately and painstakingly set up the whole book that just generally makes sense and won't leave you confused and overwhelmed. Jade City is super action-packed and brimming with political intrigue between clans and the governments that they work with. So it's just super addictive, and I highly recommend this. I am just waiting for my hold on Libby to come up so I could just borrow the audiobook already and just go through Jade War already. So just waiting for that. Next book is another 5 stars for me. This is part of a reading challenge that I'm doing, and it's Human Acts by Kang. This is a contemporary historical fiction, and I gave this book 5 stars again. Human Acts is a staggering and unwavering interconnected stories of people who are victims of political unrest, brutality, and death. So much death. Human Acts takes place during the Gwangju uprising in South Korea during the 1980s. Author Han Kang was born and raised in Gwangju, so Human Acts was written with a personal touch of her own painful experience. Han Kang wrote the novel with harrowing precision without sensationalizing this tragic part of South Korean history. It exhibits the ugly and brutal and cruel and beauty of being human. Every single thing we do goes back to our nature of being humans. The brutality that stems from the hunger and abuse of power, as well as the hopelessness and surrendering when life feels impossible, and lastly, the yearning and the hoping that comes from our innate desire to live. Despite being a fiction novel, Human Acts can feel very real and palpable. This book is heartbreaking and distressing to read, so please tread lightly and carefully. The violence can be pretty graphic, so I suggest taking breaks in between the chapters and point of views. So for some of the trigger and content warnings, there's violence, there's martial law, death, police brutality, sexual assault, and suicide. Another 5-star for me, and the third book that I read for February is Grown by Tiffany Jackson, and this was a group buddy read for our Tara Basa Discord group. This book is a contemporary / thriller mystery book. This book follows the story of a 17-year-old aspiring singer, Enchanted Jones, who struggles to fit in a school as the only black girl in their family's recent move to the suburbs, as well as balancing familial responsibilities and making her dreams come true. When she meets the popular R&B artist Corey Fields, her life was turned upside down. I gave this book 5 stars. Obviously, I was having such a great start to my February. I felt like I was on a roll. So, Grown is extremely enraging. disturbing, disgusting, and triggering. This is the kind of book that would make you ruminate on your own experiences because of how familiar and relatable the situations and the characters are. Tiffany Jackson managed to deliver a story that is equally enraging and riveting. It's the kind of book that would make you really stop reading for a bit and gather the energy to power through because of just how heavy of a read it is. It's such a palpable story that feels so true. It hits so hard, and it is true for a lot of girls out there who are experiencing or who have experienced abuse and manipulation. The novel sheds some light on the dangers, the consequences, and challenges of not being able to easily escape an abusive relationship. While from a reader's or audience's perspective, it is easy for us to see the red flags, but it is tough when you're on the receiving end of the abuse and the manipulation. The very beginning of the book already sets where the whole story is gonna go, but not the how. The thriller and mystery aspects of the book are there, and I get how it would be categorized as one, but this read more of a contemporary drama for me. But that really showcases the power of Tiffany Jackson's writing. You get chapters alluding to the murder and death of Corey Fields, and there are chapters when it all started. So the whole story was just masterfully crafted and calculated that I found myself also not knowing what and who to believe anymore. Like, was Enchanted, our main character, really the one who killed Corey Fields? Who really killed Corey Fields in the first place if it wasn't Enchanted? So the way this had me questioning the whole time just makes Tiffany Jackson such an amazing and master storyteller for me. I've had my fair share of tears and being so blinded by something that I thought was love back when I was way younger. And reading Grown made me reflect and remember those times. Not a good time to remember them. This book will also make you realize things the way that Enchanted did throughout the book, and that there's only so much people can do for you, even if they want to help. If you truly want to be free, you really have to help yourself on your own. I just want to put out there the notes from the author when I was reading it, and I'm going to read it now. This book is about the abuse of power. It's about the pattern of excusing grown men for their behavior while faulting young girls for their missteps. It's about the blatant criticism of girls who were victims of manipulation. It's about holding the right person accountable for the crime he committed. I have the trigger and content warnings. There's a lot, but please go through them before getting into Grown by Tiffany Jackson. These are heavy topics. So there's sexual abuse, statutory rape, kidnapping, abusive relationship, child abuse, grooming, gaslighting, manipulation, adult-minor relationship, victim blaming and shaming, addiction to opioids, murder, and suicide. The next book I read is Arrows of Rain by Okey and Ndibe. This is a fiction contemporary book. This is a frustrating, tragic, and graphic depiction of how abuse of power that is so ingrained in the system affects the whole nation. Arrows of Rain follows the story of a man who, after witnessing a woman drowning, was accused of raping and murdering the said woman, who happens to be a sex worker. Even before the drowning of the woman, there were already instances of sex workers being raped and murdered in the said location. So our main character, Bukuru, who was said to be a madman, having no friends and family, served as his own lawyer against a justice system hell-bent on sweeping the issue under the rug by pointing all evidences against him, especially when the people he accused were the country's armed forces, and eventually accusing the president and the commander-in-chief himself. Arrows of Rain is set in 1988 and was told in the perspective of a reporter, Femi, who was chosen by Bukuru/Oguwagua to listen to his story and tell his story should anything happen to him while he was in prison or while the trial was going on. I found Bukuru/Oguwagua's story ominous and distressing all the way from the very beginning. It was heartbreaking to see that Oguwagua, who simply wanted to be good and happy, had to be on the receiving end of the abuse of power of Madia's powerful people, especially the president. So Madia is the name of the country and is inspired by native Nigeria. The writing and the plot were on point. It was compelling, so I recommend this book. Trigger and content warnings though, this could be pretty heavy and graphic as well. There's rape, graphic, physical and sexual assault. There's death, murder, and police brutality. Second to the last book that I read for February is another contemporary book, and is also part of the reading challenge that I'm doing for this year, and it's Kitchen by Banana Yoshimoto. I may be wrong, but I know that Kitchen is a well-beloved book within the community. Kitchen is an enchantingly original book that juxtaposes two tales about mothers, love, tragedy, and the power of the kitchen and home in the lives of a pair of free-spirited young women in contemporary Japan. So Kitchen, with its two stories, tackle love and grief as its central themes. So the first main story is about Mikage, who was mostly raised by her grandmother after losing both her parents, and eventually she loses her grandmother as well. So shortly after her grandmother passing, she was taken in by her friend Yuichi, who worked for Mikage's grandmother's favorite flower shop, and Yuichi's transgender mother, Eriko. So it wasn't the most ideal setup since Mikage wasn't really close to family in the first place, and they all feel like total opposites. The setting of the story was around the 1980s, if I remember correctly. So people frown upon the setup knowing that Mikage and Yoichi aren't lovers, nor Mikage was officially adopted. At the heart of the story was a kitchen where Mikage cooks passionately and dines with Yoichi and Eriko. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows, since another tragic event will hit this found family. The companion story, Moonlight Shadow, was also really good. It dives into the story of a young woman, Satsuki, who is dealing with the recent death of her boyfriend, Hitoshi, in a car accident. Moonlight Shadow explores Satsuki's and Hiragi's. Hiragi is the brother of Hitoshi and who has a girlfriend who also died in the same accident with Hitoshi. It talks about their grief and how they each deal with the loves that they lost. It reminds you of how your life can change drastically and how death doesn't choose who to take. The writing was really good. Aside from the stories and the depressing themes of the book, it's the writing that made the book stand out and all the more melancholic and tragic in a lot of ways. Ultimately, Kitchen was a reflection and exploration of love and grief and the many ways it can put one's life on a standstill as they face and accept the very, very, very real and painful fact that their loved ones aren't coming back and they have to move forward. The last book for my February wrap-up is My Love Mix-Up Volume 1 by Wataru Hinekure with an illustrator, Aruko. So this is a romance, humor, contemporary LGBTQIA plus manga series, and I love this to death. So what is it about? And why am I screaming about this every second of every day? Okay, so here is the whole setup. Aoki has a crush on Hashimoto, the girl in the seat next to him in class. But he despairs when he borrows her eraser and sees she's written the name of another boy, Ida. So it just means that she has a crush on that person. So to make matters worse, Ida, the third person, Ida sees Aoki holding that very eraser and thinks that Aoki has a crush on him. Because like, Aoki doesn't want Ida finding out that Hashimoto has a crush on Ida because, you know, it'll be embarrassing and stuff. I am absolutely in love with this series. I inhaled the shit out of this manga and I didn't want it to end. It has been so long since I've been this giddy over a romance story. The giddy level that I was in was I was reading this on my bed and I was stomping my feet. It was late at night. I was stomping my feet and I was clutching my chest and I was trying not to scream so loud and wake everyone else. So I was floored by how much I enjoyed reading my love mix-up. I know that there's already the live action series out on Netflix and I will watch it after I finish the whole series. So my love mix-up was able to showcase a lot of tropes, and one which could be really annoying and could be a make or break when it's not executed well, and it's the miscommunication trope. But it was so well executed in my love mix-up. It was just super fun to read. The characters are high schoolers, so they can be pretty dense and annoying, but in an adorable way. So this is pretty fast-paced and could feel rushed for other people, as in the romance could feel rushed. It had a lot of coincidences and twists that are very typical of a romance story. But if you're looking for a very feel-good, just a feel-good romance story, specifically BL or yaoi, that has the following tropes, read this as soon as possible. There's love triangle / square. There's cross-dressing of a potentially gay guy. There's the miscommunication trope as mentioned. And there's the trope of a pair of himbo who is potentially bisexual or gay. And a fun, happy-go-lucky idiot who also may be potentially gay. So another trope that is well beloved is the school festival where all the romance and action happen. On top of everything, it is so hilarious that I found myself really laughing out loud. It was just so funny. I think it was a right decision to pick this up on a Sunday when I was really dreading the upcoming work week. It just really made me forget about my worries and is the very definition of escaping reality for me. It's a kind of book that you're meant to simply enjoy and not really nitpick every flaw in detail. So I love this so much and I highly recommend it. This is easily on my top reads of 2022. It's a forever favorite. And that's it for my February wrap up. I had a good reading month for February. Majority of them are 5 stars. Like I had 5-star reads and the rest are 4.5. So that's 5 5-star reads and 2 4.5-star reads. I think that's really good. Like, I feel like I just generally enjoyed the books that I read last February and I love that for me. I hope that was the same for you, friends and strangers. Let me know what you read for February or what was your top read book for February. If you have any recommendations, feel free to comment them down below, especially based on the books that I loved this month. And as always, I'll see you again on my next video, friends and strangers. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.